Ever wonder if you're a mystic, but didn't feel like you had the credentials to claim it or not? I used to feel like that too. Like I had to be born under a full moon or go through some occult, a ritual initiation in order to be qualified as a mystic. But the truth, I was already using mystical tech throughout my entire life. I just didn't know that's what it was. And now after 5+ years of formal mystical training, now I know how to spot it and I can teach you how to do it so you can too. In this video, I'm gonna show you things like how intention setting, energy awareness, and little daily rituals are actually proof that you are already tapped into mystical tools. And once you see it clearly, you'll stop questioning if you're magical enough and start embracing the spiritual tech that you're already wired for. So if you have ever felt unsure or disconnected from your gifts, let's change that, because you might already be a mystic in disguise. If you've ever been second guessing yourself or waiting for some kind of external validation or feeling like your practices are just mindset stuff, you're not alone. When I was a kid, I was 11 years old when Harry Potter came out and he was 11 years old, and I kept remembering and wishing that,
please take me to wizarding school. I'm secretly a witch, right? And I'm not really a muggle, right?
But here's the reframe. What if you've been using mystical tools all along and you just didn't even realize it? Turns out I am a witch. Actually, no, I don't identify as a witch because that is a type of spiritual practice and religion, and well, it's a little complicated to get into that right now. Imagine waking up and realizing that your morning intention setting, or that gut feeling that you have, or when you walk into a room and you feel the energies of what's going on, it's not random, it's not basic. It's mystical technology, and you don't need to wait for permission to start owning it. So here are 10 signs that you are already using mystical tech. In other words, you might be a mystic. Number 1, you set intentions before doing something important. Now, this is a common mindset hack that a lot of personal development coaches and practices teach. But here's the thing, it's not just about mindset. It's actually putting your conscious intention into the universe and hoping for a direct, concrete result. And if you put words to it, this is spellwork in motion. At a quantum level, energy follows intention. Wherever you are putting your focus, reality is collapsing from that probability into a more likely timeline of it actually happening. In other words, you're literally programming the energetic field of the entire universe about what you want to see and how you want it shaped to be and to experience in your life. Setting intentions are incredibly powerful and a very important mystical tool. So if you're already doing this, then you may be a mystic. Number 2, you sense energies or vibes in people or places. Have you ever walked into a room, let's say, with your parents arguing or siblings having a fight, or maybe a really tough conversation that just took place in the office place and feels really heavy? Or you walk into a funeral home and it has a very distinct feeling than it does, let's say, from your grocery store. What you're doing in all of these situations is you're reading energetic fields. That sensitivity and awareness is often squashed in Western society and told to be too much, and quite frankly, it's quite the opposite. This is a powerful mystical tech. It is your energetic radar system. And sensing energies and vibes, whether it's in people or in places, is a really important tool that you're gonna need as a mystic. It's also one of the most practical tools that you can use in almost any type of situation. Let's say you work a corporate job, or you're a teacher or a performer. Oftentimes, people will say that you need to read the room and adjust your presentation, your pitch, or even your performance according to what's going on in the audience. That is literally people talking about becoming aware of the energetic vibes or field of that room. And if you're really clever, you will actually adjust your pitch, talk, or performance to match the room. Or even better, you could raise it and have the frequency of that space raise with you. Either way, if you can sense energies in people or places, you are definitely using a mystical tech. Number 3, you're surrounded by crystals. and know where they go. Maybe you've got a crystal on your desk, by your bed, or maybe even in your water bottle. If you do, you're my kind of people. And not only that, you know where each crystal goes and where it belongs, because you're intuitively grid working or working with those crystals and their unique properties to amplify certain energies. Crystals aren't just decoration, they're tools. And societies around the world know this. People and cultures don't just covet crystals and gems because they're pretty and colorful. Now, that is definitely a nice bonus, but certain gems and crystals will have specific properties that you might want to use for a very specific and dedicated task. For example, if you use one type of crystal for protection and cleansing and another one to amplify your intention or maybe even expand your awareness or activate your third eye, these are all examples of how to use crystal technology. Now, I could spend an entire video series just talking about crystals and their unique properties, but here's the thing, if you're already using crystals in some way, maybe not even consciously, but just having them around, then intuitively you know that they are a powerful mystical tech. And if you're working with them at a conscious level, you're already a pro. Number 4, you cleanse your space and use rituals to shift your energy. A lot of people will often talk about grounding, and you need to ground yourself or be more mindful. And honestly, you might do that by going outside, walking barefoot, connecting with a tree, or even meditating to put yourself in a more mindful state of being. These are actually all rituals to subtly or very proactively shift your energy from one state to another. Sometimes this might be more about relaxation or becoming very focused on something. Kind of depends on the situation, but at the end of the day, you're consciously shifting that through a ritual. You might also cleanse your space or a particular tool that you have using sage, salt water, moonlight, sunlight, burying it in the earth. There are tons of ways in which you can use energies and ingredients to cleanse your space. And if you're doing that, again, you are shifting the energies of that tool or of that space. So all of this is a type of energetic hygiene. And well, that's mystical tech. Number 5. You know when something is off, even when you don't have proof. This is one of the most important and biggest types of mystical tech that is often shut down by Western society or our upbringing. And what it is it's an inner knowing or guidance system about resonance or dissonance. In other words, you have a powerful intuitive side to yourself, and you can actually learn and discern a lot of information by following your inner compass. Now, a lot of the times people will ignore what their gut is telling them or that sense of like, ooh, this just isn't right. And actually, this is a mystical skill that you can develop, just like training a muscle, and it gets stronger the more you use it. We might call this intuition, claircognizance, or being psychic. There's tons of terms for it, but just know that if you're doing this or trusting your gut, you're using mystical tech. Number 6, you talk to your guardian angels or spirit guides. Let's say you're going through your daily life and you all of a sudden feel or smell or sense something that reminds you of, let's say, your past grandmother. Or you might find yourself praying to Jesus or Isis or working with the goddess while you're doing something. Sometimes it might feel like subtle nudges or like you just know something or you're being guided towards something. Sometimes you can even feel their presence and just be like, oh my gosh, am I alone or is there someone in the room right now? Most of the time, this is not your imagination. It's actually contact. And going into an altered state to convene with spirits or connect with your ancestors or even talk to other subtle interdimensional beings, well, this is one of the most ancient forms of mystical technology on the planet. I mean, think about it. How many Disney movies, for example, have, let's say, a main character talking to their ancestors or asking for some magical being for guidance? That's because it's one of the oldest mystical tools, and it's something that is incredibly practical and honestly part of our core makeup about what makes us human and what drives human culture. Now, in some of my other videos, I talk about how this tool in particular can be a slippery slope because you gotta make sure you're talking to who you think you're actually talking to. If you're interested in learning more about that, check out this video that I have somewhere in the corner. Number 7, you remember the future. Have you ever had a dream or a flash or some random memory and then actually find it come to pass, like some kind of HD deja vu. Yup, that's timeline awareness. Because here's the thing, time is actually an illusion, but we won't get into the details of how or why that is, but just know that that illusion can break down. And sometimes we can tap into that larger awareness or even see what's coming before it comes, because actually linear time doesn't exist. Now, more practically speaking, this often comes in very subtle and random forms, especially if you haven't trained this skill yet. For me, most commonly how it happens is I will think of some random television show episode of, let's say, Friends or The Simpsons, and then literally later that day, for some reason, that exact scene that I was thinking about shows up on the television. It validates that that is remembering the future even more, because those are shows that I don't really watch, if ever, at least these days. So what you're doing is you're sensing quantum patterns. Again, remembering the future or doing types of divination or fortune telling or prophecy is a very common and prevalent mystical technology that has been used throughout the ages in human society. If this has ever happened to you, then you might be a mystic. Number 8, you're gifted with animals and plants. Are you one of those people who happens to just have a knack for working with plants and your garden is thriving? Or maybe you're really good with animals and you just know like what they need. It might be that they're hungry, they need something like a walk or care or play, or if something's bothering them. Can't quite put your finger on it, but you just know what they need. You might also see how both plants and animals respond to you really well. You might develop a strong connection really quickly, or you might see how random animals that you don't even have a connection with come up to you and just want to be around you. So this might be a sign that you are really good at experiential telepathy, and it's very real. Now, experiential telepathy is a term that I learned from my teacher, and basically it's the universal language of the universe. Now, humans are unique in the sense that we have developed a spoken language with words, consonants, syllables to express packets of information and data. But most of the sentient universe doesn't actually express or communicate this way. They use feelings, emotions, and experience to portray something. And if your awareness is large enough and if you're open to tapping into it, you can actually pick up what that plant or that animal is actually communicating to you. Some people are just really good at this and they don't even know that they're doing it half the time. But it actually turns out this is a mystical technique that is extremely powerful and very versatile. Just like everything else, it's a skill that you can learn and practice and get better at with time. Number 9, you work with elemental or celestial energies. Are you one of the person that knows their astrology chart in and out? Or maybe you have favorite cycles of the moon that you like to do certain things in? You might also just work more naturally by honoring the seasons or tracking your progress over what's happening in your local environment. Welcome to galactic level mystical tech. You are working with collective energies. There are also other types of elemental energies you might work with, like you might have an affinity for water or smoke or air, or you love the earth and having rocks around, or you love what fire can do in a ritualistic standpoint. So working with the elements like water, wind, fire, and earth, or in some cultures, metal and wood, these are all forms of mystical technology. And you can see them play out in a lot of areas of culture, like feng shui in Chinese, Ayurvedic systems in India, or even in Western alchemical and astrological symbols. There's a reason why many cultures around the planet will use these energies. It's because they are powerful. So if you use them, do so with care and wisdom. Number 10, you turn your garden into witchy tools. If you've ever harvested the plants in your garden to make sage or smudging sticks or teas and tinctures, or maybe even just use them as ingredients for alchemical magical potions, then you might be a mystic. There are tons of forms of mysticism that use herbs and plants as a form of magical ingredient. And doing this actually makes it a mystical technology. Whether you're a green witch, an alchemist, or maybe you just love working with plant medicine, that is a really good sign that you might be a mystic. So those are the 10 signs that you might be a mystic because, well, you're already using mystical tools and may not even know it. Now here's the thing, you don't have to get a crystal ball or join a witch coven in order to become a mystic. The mystical is already inside of you. These are actually very common cultural practices that spread across time and space because they are a powerful and known form of technology. And the more you notice it and the more you consciously use it in a high frequency way, the more powerful it becomes. So start paying attention, track your patterns, take stock of what you do and when you do it and what interests you. Look at what you've already created or what you already surround your life with in regards to these tools and practices. There might be some that come to you more naturally than others, and there might be some that you're interested in and haven't even explored yet but want to. And that's amazing, and I encourage you to explore and share and dive deeper into this. But a word of caution, make sure you don't do it alone. And also make sure you're doing it to improve your life. One of the things about mystical tools is that it's really easy to kind of make oopsies and accidentally do black magic or infringe upon the will of others. I don't recommend going down that direction because it can lead towards a very sticky path of negativity with pretty severe consequences. Yes, and I am speaking from experience. So to keep it simple and safe, if you're using any of these mystical tools, then just do it for your own personal benefit. Then you don't have to worry about accidentally causing harm to someone else. Also, it's even better if you work with a group of other people who are exploring these interests too, because mystics should never work alone. And it's far more fun to learn this stuff together than it is to by yourself. I know that might not always feel like the case, but believe me, your work is going to be a lot more powerful and you're going to see and learn a lot more if you do it with others than if you're on your own. If this video activated something inside you, then hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos about spiritual business practices, high frequency expressions, and practical mystical steps that you can take into everyday life. And in the comments, definitely let me know which one of these or multiple of these mystical tools that you use or go, dang, yeah, that's me. All right, mystics, I'll see you in the next video.